ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে আমাদের সাথে আবারও যুক্ত হওয়ার জন্য। আজকে আমরা যে টপিকটা নিয়ে কথা বলবো সেটা হচ্ছে যে সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া কিভাবে মেন্টাল হেলথে এফেক্ট করে, এবং আমাদের সাথে আজকে দুইজন স্পেশাল গেস্ট আছে। তারা তাদের পরিচয় নিজেরাই দিক, এবং আপনারা তাদেরকে মোটামুটি ভালো চিনেন এখন অলরেডি, এবং তারা আমাদের বিজয় কাউন্সিলিং ওয়েলনেস ইনস্টিটিউটের সাথে যুক্ত আছেন। প্লিজ, জেকব ভাই, জয়া।
Yes, my name's Jacob Berlin. I'm a psychological counselor and also an educator leader.
So I am a specialized coach, therapeutic coach, but I have a background in medical as well as experience in business development.
Okay, thank you so much, guys, for coming here today. And today we'll discuss a very viral topic, a trending topic that is, um, all Bangladeshis who are, watching this podcast, they will, get benefited from this our conversation, which is like how social media is affecting our mental health. So, uh, why do you think, why is social media basically such an important topic in our conversation about mental health today?
Yeah. Well, social media is no longer just something extra in our lives. It's something that permeates and touches every aspect of our life and even everyday interaction. Most of the time, I call someone or I run into someone, I start a conversation with someone, I'm interrupting their time on their phone, which chances are is some kind of social media interaction. So it affects everything, especially just day-to-day communication.
What is your opinion? What do you think about it? Like,
What do I think about social media?
yeah, like, and why is it an important factor basically in our life today?
So social media is very important. I mean, it's important because it really drives the way the world goes around, the way our children are seeing the world. Their minds are literally being developed by what they see on the bulletin boards and the posters, but also what they see on social media. There's some really good things on social media, but there's mostly a lot of like watered down truth. Everything on social media typically, or I would say this is my own guess, 90% of things on social media tends to be like uh, edited or made to look better. Like, as a family, if we're posting pictures, we don't normally post the pictures where, we're crying or yelling at each other. We normally post the pictures where we're smiling, happy, for instance. So that gets like it just creates a mentality for any people that are growing up in a society that are looking up to social media as a role model, a false idea of like, oh, I want to be like that, I want to be like that person, but it's not a true reality. It's not reality. So that's one thing. Now, social media is a tool for marketing. It's a tool for getting information about the world. So there's good things, but there's also really, really dangerous things out there, especially for children. I think so. Basically, I was with my friend yesterday, and we are doing a play date with our children and talking about movies and what we watch. And we were talking about like I was sharing with her that children under the age of 6, correct me if I'm wrong, but under the age of 6 actually, typically, unless they're really advancing their IQ and their knowledge, they really believe that what they see on the screen is real, is reality. So like if you notice,
Yes.
even like our 5-year-old still will go up and touch the screen. And like she's trying to put, why can't I touch this person? Why
Yes.
can't I? So that's really scary actually, because if we're as an adult watching something, we can pick good and bad out of it, and kids can't, then we wouldn't let them see a crime scene on the street. We would be worried about that and how it would affect them. So like it's not really any difference if you bring something really traumatizing into your living room and you let kids watch it, it will really affect how they develop. That's just an example. There's lots of other things that are not good for our children on the internet. And then there's things that are good. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your information. It's a very valuable information. Being a psychologist, being a life coach, or being a counselor, so what motivated you today to come here and talk about social media and its effect on mental health?
Of course. Well, it affects us in so many ways, often negatively. For instance, lack of sleep is one of the biggest symptoms people come in for or in with, and it's affecting their mental health, their physical health, their family life, everything. And often the question gets asked, well, what are you doing, lying in bed? What are you doing with your time? And it's doom scrolling. And we're all guilty of that. Every single one of us has done that. And yet the mind is focused on this screen. It takes hours for it to slow down and fall asleep. So it's a huge thief for sleep. Also, just it's become doom scrolling's become one of the most common coping mechanisms for anxiety and depression. You're feeling sad, you're feeling anxious, you want to escape that terrible feeling, and what better way to do that than just doom scroll? So there's.
But it doesn't actually, like, even though it's coping, right? In the end, it causes more anxiety.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And so it's not a healthy coping mechanism, but it's possibly one of the biggest number one go-to coping mechanisms, and real reasons why people are doom scrolling is to escape their anxious thoughts, their depression, and go somewhere else that's easier for them.
So, what was your motivation to come here today and talk about, social media and how it affects on mental health?
Yeah, well, I definitely am very passionate about this subject because I think what we as adults watch is important. What we do with our time is important, and like social media affects us, but I think it's even more important for our children, for those who are raising the next generation.
Yes.
I think that the world's already facing a crisis. Like the depression has gone up immensely all over the world, and I think mostly due to social media. And like I would say that in like yeah, I have done research in my psychological studies as well on this, but even outside of the data, the stats, I personally think that it has everything to do with connection. So like we're really like improving in the world with all the things that we can do on digitalized, like in business and everything. It's very useful. Like we don't have to have a whole room full of documents. We can have them all online. Like there's so many useful things about it. And we can actually don't even have to go to our friend's house. We can just jump on a Zoom meeting and like hang out with them, right, on FaceTime. So that's actually good. I mean, it still is a human connection. There's still a relationship, but there's still something missing. And I think, especially when people are getting addicted to social media, then they're actually like really missing out on the connection that we're all made to have. And like the connection is what's so important. And like without that, it causes so much like so many side effects actually, like depression, anxiety, feeling lonely, isolated, and some people spiral and don't even know where it's all coming from. And it could come from outside stressors that cause people to like do the doom scrolling like he was talking about, I feel like. But it can really affect so many things. Like I've said before, it's not like if you have an addiction, which most of you who are watching I'm sure do, and some of us who are even sitting in this room probably have the same struggles. Like it's not something that you can't overcome. And it's also really important to remember that you can't just get rid of it in one day, and you can't do it by yourself either. It takes an accountability system, and it also takes replacing that thing that you go to with something else that's good that you can go to and that you like to do. And yeah.
Thank you so much. So social media, like you were saying, both of you are saying basically, social media has its own positive, things, negative things, and positive effects, negative effects. So, what do you see? What's the most common ways, like, where social media affects our mental health, positively and both negatively?
Mm. Yeah, well, definitely in some ways connection is increased, especially in a global world. For instance, we live in Bangladesh. My parents, they live in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Her parents live in Alaska. The time difference and just the busyness. It's hard to make a phone call, write an email. But our daughter's birthday, we can take videos, we can send it, put it on social media, and all our family scattered throughout all the world can easily see it and be a part of that special event and be up to date with us or just be a phone call away.
Especially, I mean, to get connected with
Yes.
family and friends. It's a
Yeah.
positive side.
Yeah, so in some ways it's creating connection and at the same time, uh, breaking connection. So another great benefit of social media is just the support network. There's support groups out there. There's groups with information, groups with helpful how-to things, and so yeah, social media is excellent for that. But in terms of negative effects, I mean, the two biggest ones that I've seen are just unrealistic expectations. Even like this video is going to be edited and cut, and the mistakes are going to be put together. And there's some good things about that, but it creates a dissonance with reality and expectations. We make mistakes. There's so many AI videos and
Yeah.
pictures of models who look great. You go to the gym and you just end up, like this, awesome looking person. But the reality is that's never going to happen. It's probably never going to happen. So, yeah, unrealistic expectations and unrealistic pressure standards. Also, cyberbullying is just huge. Before a kid could get bullied, maybe one day at school, he goes home, he's safe, but now you're bullied, 24/7,
Yeah.
instead of maybe your class or classmates hearing about some embarrassing thing that you did in third grade. Now the entire world, can easily hear about it. And
Yeah,
you know,
blackmailing as well.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
what's online, in a sense, never dies. It lives forever. So it's not going to go away. People can still find it years later. So the cyberbullying is a lot more extreme and is very concerning.
What do you think
Yeah.
about?
I guess one of my bigger passion things is like the next generation and its parents' responsibility. I am actually a little bit conservative about it. Like I feel like kids should not be spending very much time on their tablets, on their computers, on their phones. And I do feel that it's parents' responsibility to protect them from that. It's true love to keep your kids away from exposure that isn't healthy for them. At the same time, living in Dhaka, it's really tough because there isn't as many places to bring your children or as many like outside things, or it's so hot. So it's really tough. It's really easy to fall back to that. So one thing I've done is create things that my kids can do. And even if they are going to watch social media, choosing the things they watch. So, like, for instance, I'm like, you guys can't watch a movie, but you can choose a craft. And so, like, I help them, like, find YouTube videos that create fun crafts. And that's actually very, like, I feel like pretty good for kids. They can be so creative, and it kind of encourages that mentality of development and like exploring and adventurous. And yeah, so my kids often come to me saying, oh, we want to make a craft. And like you kind of got to instill that in them rather than just letting them watch really entertaining movies. It's actually really, really tough. Now our younger ones have watched way more movies, but in the beginning, for my first 3 years, three children, like I didn't let them watch any sort of very entertaining movies until like they were like quite a bit older, like 8 years old. Because like they would watch a very practical movie, even like a educational movie, and they would be so happy about it. Like literally, they would watch like movies that taught them how to read and write, and they were like, "We want to watch a movie," and that was what a movie was to them. So also picking things that are educational, and then like if it's educational and not so entertaining at younger ages, they'll just keep watching more and more and more. Like they'll be like, yeah, I want to watch, but then at the same time they won't get addicted to it if it's a practical movie. And then they'll be like, we're done. Okay, you sure you're done? Okay, let's go to something else. And so, but the problem is you cannot break that. If you start having them watch like Spider-Man and all those other movies, they're never going to watch those again.
Yeah.
So it's really, that's a choice you have to make at birth, like when kids are born. It's really serious.
Just, yeah. Thank you so much, like, for sharing that positive and negative impact on our mental health because of the social media. So, like you were saying about unrealistic expectation. So আমরা যখন সোশ্যাল মিডিয়াতে এমন কিছু দেখি যেটা আমাদের কাছে অনেক পছন্দনীয়, লোভনীয়, এবং আমরা সেটা যখন আমাদের রিয়েল লাইফে নিজেদের জীবনে অ্যাপ্লাই করতে যাই, তখন যখন দেখি যে আসলে এটা এইভাবে সম্ভব না, তখন আমরা আসলে বিভিন্ন ধরনের স্ট্রেস বা প্যানিক বা এনজাইটি ফিল করি, বা আরো সাইকোলজিক্যাল অনেক মেন্টাল হেলথ ইস্যুস আমরা ফেস করি। সো এটার ব্যাপারে আপনাদের কি চিন্তা, যে এটা আসলে কি এনজাইটি, ডিপ্রেশন বা অন্যান্য যে সাইকোলজিক্যাল ইস্যুস গুলো আছে সেগুলা কি এটার কারণে হয় কিনা?
Yeah. অনেক ডিপ্রেশন এবং অ্যাংজাইটি দুটা জনপ্রিয় মনোভাব থেকে আসে। সেটা হচ্ছে আমি ভালো না, আহ, আমি যথেষ্ট নই, এবং এই মনোভাব যদি সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া দেখে, এই মনোভাব আরো বাড়বে। কারণ আমি সোশ্যাল মিডিয়াতে দেখি, আমি লিঙ্কডইন দেখি, কত সাকসেসফুল লোক আছে, কত ডিগ্রি পেয়েছে, কত ইনকাম পায়, কত সুযোগ পেশা আছে। সো আমি ভালো না, আমি যথেষ্ট নয়। অথবা কত ধনী, কত কিরকম বাসা থাকে। এবং সো এই মনোভাব থেকে ডিপ্রেশন অ্যান্ড এক্সাইটি বাড়বে, এবং সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া এই মনোভাব বাড়িয়ে দেয়। আহ, এবং অন্য একটা মনোভাব আছে, যে সময় আমি ডিপ্রেশন অথবা অ্যাংজাইটি ফেস করি, সেটা হচ্ছে আমি একা, কেউ নাই মানে ডিপ্রেশন অ্যাংজাইটি ফেস করে, মাত্র আমি এই ডিপ্রেশন অ্যাংজাইটি ফেস করি। সো যদি ফেসবুক দেখে অথবা অন্য সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া দেখে, সবাই খুশি, সবাই সাকসেসফুল, সবাই সুন্দর, সবাই ধনী, কেউ নাই যে তাদের খারাপ জিনিস, খারাপ মুখ দিয়ে ফেসবুক পোস্ট করে। So অবশ্যই যদি আমি চিন্তা করি আমি ডিপ্রেসড, আমি অ্যাংশিয়াস, এবং আর কেউ নাই যে আমার মতো ডিপ্রেসড এবং অ্যাংশিয়াস ফিল করে, যদি ফেসবুক দেখে, এই মনোভাব আরো বাড়বে।
এটা পারবে
Yeah.
Yeah, এবং আইসোলেশন হবে, লাইক
এক্স্যাক্টলি।
বেসিক্যালি যখন আমার যদি আমার ফোন ইউজ করে অনেক বেশি এবং স্ক্রল করে, দেন আমি আমার স্বামীর সাথে কথা বলবো না, মানে আমার নিজেরও আইসোলেশন হয়ে যাব। সো ছেলে মেয়ে এটাও বড় সমস্যা, যখন তারা সময় কাটায়, এটা তাদের ডেভেলপমেন্ট অনেক এফেক্ট করে, বিকজ তারা হিউম্যান ইন্টারাকশন হবে না, এটা মানে সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া ইন্টারাকশন হবে।
আমাদের এখনকার এই সোশ্যাল মিডিয়ার যুগে বেসিক্যালি একটা জিনিস খুব বেশি ট্রিগার করে মানুষকে, তাদের ইমোশনাল রিয়াকশন ইভেন চেঞ্জ হয়ে যায়। সেটা হচ্ছে যে কার কত লাইক, কার কত ফলোয়ার, এবং যার যত বেশি ফলোয়ার,
Is that Bangladeshi? Bangladeshi,
yes,
no?
Bangladeshi, or like you can say Asian countries, South Asian
Yeah,
countries,
okay, it's
the
Deshi,
content
yeah.
creators, like they have a competition, যে কার ইউটিউবে সাবস্ক্রাইবার বেশি, কার ইনস্টাগ্রামে ফলোয়ার বেশি, ফেসবুকে ফলোয়ার বেশি, লাইক বেশি। So do you think it, you know, brings any kind of emotional changes or in the reaction?
No.
Do you think?
So it's definitely one type of reward, one type of dopamine hit. It's almost like a digital applause. If you got a standing ovation, everyone clapping, looking at you, all of us would feel so proud, so good, and that's very addictive. I mean, our brain gets into that reward mechanism. We need to do that. We seek that and that praise. And in some ways, that's normal and healthy. We need that. At the same time, digital media is so fickle, and the public opinion is so fickle. One day you're the best person, all these likes. The next day,
You're the worst. Yeah.
someone says something, and you're the worst. And so
Yeah.
if so much of our self-esteem and dopamine comes just from that, then we're in for a lot of trouble.
Yeah, it is really deceitful, because if you look at most people that are famous on like YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, they also have probably more enemies than they have friends.
Exactly true.
So it's also kind of a false thing to think that just because you become famous or you get a bunch of followers, that doesn't mean that they're real friends or they're real people that care about you. So that also creates a really terrible, like, a relationship crisis for people if that's how they're trying to get their attention based off of how many followers they have. And that's like on it false too, because most people are posting edited photos of themselves, and like it's not even them real selves, and then they get more isolated because they are scared for people to see their real self. And so like they're not even afraid for their friends who they made on Facebook to see their real self. So then therefore it creates a whole different dynamic, and they're so scared of being exposed.
সো এতক্ষণে আমরা যা ডিসকাস করেছি, এতক্ষণে আমরা অ্যাটলিস্ট বুঝতে পেরেছি, আমাদের দর্শকরা অ্যাটলিস্ট বুঝতে পেরেছে, এবং তারা জানেও যে সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া ইজ কাইন্ড অফ অ্যাডিকশন. When you're scrolling your feeds, then you're scrolling for like 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. You don't even know that it's already 2 hours. So is it real? I mean, is social media addiction is real, or what we see in social media, is it real? What do you think?
You mean like content?
Content means like social media addiction.
Addiction যদি real, অবশ্যই এটা সত্যি একটা সমস্যা। এটা খুব বড় বড় addiction, এবং অবশ্যই real.
Yeah, the dopamine feeling of a possible reward. I mean, it's very similar to gambling addiction. I even have told people that pulling the slot machine, because maybe you'll win the jackpot, get a bunch of money. That's like pulling your refresh button, seeing what next video, what next like, what's going to pop up on your screen. So it definitely triggers the dopamine reward complex in the brain, and it's very addictive.
Yeah, and I think it's like a little bit different depending on why the person's on social media. So if it's your business, and if you're there if you're a public figure, or if you're there for influence, or if you're there for a purpose, I think it's better. And then you have to have a whole other set of rules for yourself, how to manage your stress, and it's like a business. So I think and you are going to be addicted to seeing revenue, right? If you have a business, so then if that's your business, then whether or not they even say all media is good media for people that are focused on, the income of that. So it really depends. But I would think we're generally talking about people that are just literally mindlessly scrolling, right? Or like we call it coping mechanisms for, coping with something else that's going on with life. And so some people eat a bunch of food when they're stressed, right? Some people smoke. Some people drink. Some people do drugs. Some people do a lot of bad stuff, or a combination of a lot of them. And I would say the most common one is social media, because it's not like so bad. Like everybody can do it, but there isn't as much awareness of how much limitation or how to handle it, because it's in your hand all the time if you have a phone. So it's really dangerous.
থ্যাংক ইউ আপনাদের পার্সপেক্টিভ শেয়ার করার জন্য, এই কিভাবে আসলে সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া এই আমাদের ঘুম, প্রোডাক্টিভিটি এইসবকে আসলে হ্যাম্পার করছে।